Are you considering transferring law schools and wondering where the heck do I start? Well, today I'm going to share with you some things to consider before you make that big jump. Stay tuned. It's that time of the year where a lot of 1Ls or first year law students are considering transferring to a different law school. It's really important to keep in mind what the pros and cons of transferring are. Well, today I'm going to share with you some things to consider before you make that big jump. So one of the things to consider when transferring is your GPA. You're going to have a high GPA in order to transfer. The higher the jump that you want to make, the higher your GPA has to be. So for example, if you're currently at a very low tiered school and you want to make a jump to a high tier school, such as any of the top 14 schools, then your GPA is going to have to be higher because you're going to be competing with everyone down there, as long as everyone in between, and those at the top who also want to make the jump to an even higher school. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. If you want to know the type of GPA that makes you competitive for the school that you want to transfer to, just check out their 509 report and it'll tell you how many students they take in as transfers and what type of GPA they want you to have in order to even be competitive. You can find this by just Googling. Just Google 509 reports and go to the ABA website and just type in the school that you want to go to, and that report will pull up and you can see what they need what you need to have in order to be able to be competitive for that school. So let's say you want to transfer to Harvard. I pulled up their 509 report for 2019. Their 75th percentile was 4.02, their 50th percentile was 3.95, and their 25th percentile was 3.89. So in order to be competitive to transfer, you have to have something in that ballpark between, let's say, 3.8 to 4.02. And like I said, the higher you want to jump, the higher your GPA has to be. So just keep that in mind. If you are wanting to transfer, keep in mind that you have to have something in that range in order to be competitive. Now, every school is different. Some schools have lower numbers, but the only way to know that is to pull up their 509 report and see what they're asking for. If you have those numbers, then I say go ahead and do it, sis. Do it. So now you're thinking, okay, I have the numbers. I have a 4.0 and I want to transfer. But what are the things I need to think about? What are the pros and cons? What are the benefits? Why should I even transfer? Is it worth it for me to transfer? Oh, that's going to be up to you. So let's start with the pros. So one of the benefits of transferring to a higher tiered school is bar passage rates. A lot of these high tiered schools boast high bar passage numbers. And you want to go to a school that boasts high bar passage rates. Now, it's not guaranteed that just because you attend that school, you're going to, pass the bar. But it's nice to know that they have the resources to help you be successful when you do take the bar. So that's something that you definitely want to think about. If your school has low numbers, maybe it's time for you to go somewhere where, you have confidence that you'll be able to pass. Another benefit of transferring is employment rate. It's important to know how many people have jobs once they graduate or are able to find jobs after they graduate. That's something to keep in mind at the school you're going to. Law school is really expensive, and you don't want to go to law school, graduate, and not be able to find a job, or find a job where you could have gotten that job without a law degree. And you want to go to a school that, can say that, hey, our students are actually finding jobs. Look at the employment rates at your current school and look at the employment rates at the school that you want to possibly attend and see the difference. If they're the same, then it might be something to consider. However, if the numbers are extremely different, then that's something that you want to look at and think about as well. And speaking of employment rates, another reason that I think a lot of people transfer is OCI opportunities, which was definitely important for me when I decided to transfer. There are some employers out there that only attend OCIs at certain schools. And if you don't attend those schools, then you will not be able to, or you'll find it hard. I won't say not be able to, you'll find it hard to meet certain people or talk to certain people at the firm. So that's something to keep in mind. For me, that was one of my biggest reasons why I wanted to transfer, because I knew that once I graduated, I wanted to do big law. And so I wanted to be able to go to a school where some of these big law firms that I wanted to work at, or I want to work at, would be available to me at OCI. And so that was something that paid off for me. Okay, so now that you know the benefits of transferring, let's talk about the cons of transferring, the bad parts about transferring. The first thing you need to keep in mind if you decide to transfer is that you're gonna have a greater financial burden. So one of the reasons why people usually end up going to a lower tiered school, aside from GPA or LSAT score, is because they usually can get a full ride scholarship to that school. If you decide to go to another school, you're going to lose that full ride scholarship. As far as I know, majority of law schools, if not all, do not give scholarships to transfer students. So you are going to be paying the sticker price of whatever the school that you're transferring to. So you're going from $0 or possibly very low in tuition to paying, a lot. A lot of people graduate law school with, about $250,000 in loans. Like, is that something that you are willing to take on? Especially if you don't know, if you're not guaranteed that you're going to get a job that can, actually allow you to pay that off. So that's definitely something to think about. Are you willing to give up comfort of maybe living in your home, not paying rent, not paying tuition, to going to living off of loans and owing a lot when you graduate? Think about that. So the second con of transferring is you are going to lose your GPA. So remember when I said you needed a really good GPA to be able to transfer? Well, if you actually make it and you end up transferring, it's bye-bye to GPA. You are going to start afresh. They wipe away your GPA and you start with a clean slate. So you're basically like a 1L, except you're not a 1L, you're a 2L, but you don't have, anything to rely on. So if you don't end up doing well, at the new school, you can't rely on your first year's really good GPA. That's something to keep in mind. So another thing to consider is journal opportunities. Some schools do not allow transfers to compete or write onto their journals. Some schools do, but by the time you get accepted, usually the deadline has passed to compete. And so if you're the type of person who absolutely has to have journal on the resume, then you have to think about that. Is it worth losing that opportunity? Especially since your current school might have grade on. So some schools allow you to, if you make like the top 10% or the top 15%, you automatically grade on to law review if you want to participate. And that's something that you will lose if you decide to go to, transfer. Do you want to be able to easily get on to law review, or probably not have the opportunity to participate at all? And the last thing I think might be a con for transferring is relationships. When you're a 1L, you're put into sections and you spend mostly all your time with your section, and you form groups and friends, and you form like study groups and such groups. When you transfer, you're gonna lose all of that. You're not gonna have your section to have your back, or you're not gonna have a small group of friends to rely on when you need support. And so that's something to think about. Unless maybe your school is in the same city, then you have nothing to worry about. But if you're going from one side of the country to the other, then you're not gonna have that support system. So definitely something to think about. Bruh, stop. So now that I've given you the pros and the cons of transferring, it's time for you to think about it and make a decision. So quick recap. The pros are better employment rates, better OCI opportunities, and better bar passage rates. For The cons, greater financial burden. You're going to lose your scholarship. You're going to have to pay sticker price at the new school. Also, you're going to lose your GPA. Bye-bye GPA. You're going to have to start all over. You're most likely going to lose all the relationships you formed at your old school. And you might not be able to write onto a journal. So those are things to keep in mind. If you have any more questions, go ahead and comment below. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, or more importantly, hit that like button. If you know anyone who's interested in transferring that has more questions, send this video to them, and I am more than happy to answer any questions anyone has. So yeah, all right, comment below if you have any questions. If not, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.